Before I go on, I want to emphasize this. It's really important to me that I'm hoping that nobody views our work or the presentation that I'm giving here as a condemnation of marine reserves. If you take a second message home with you today, I hope it's going to be this one, and that's that they do serve many valuable functions. If you don't allow fishing in an area, by definition, you can't overfish there. We know from a lot of studies that biodiversity increases inside marine reserves. I'm no economist, but Caesar et al. In 2002 did an economic analysis, and the annual economic benefit of Hanauma Bay, I'm pretty sure far exceeds anything that we could ever hope to gain from fishery enhancement. But the biggest reason that I'm hoping nobody takes this talk home as a condemnation of marine reserves is because of the limitations of what we've done so far. We still need to go out and do more surveys and collect some more life history information. And as we add those results into our analyses, those results could drastically change. The other thing is that we've only looked at 3 species, and we've only looked at a single comparison site. Many people consider this to be a very atypical habitat. So as more species are examined, more sites are examined, the preponderance of evidence may shift. But for now, we think it's fair to say that these marine reserves aren't a cure-all for the marine environment. It doesn't look like this one is enhancing fisheries for the 3 species that we've examined. We think there's a good message for all this, because the exact same information that we've collected to do this analysis can be used to examine or predict the effects of other management strategies, such as size and catch limits. And we did some of those sorts of analyses, and I'd like to show you just one of those today because of some time constraints that we have here. I'm going to do this in the context of sustainable fishing practices. Let's say you're concerned about seeding that next generation. So you want to have lots of reproductive output. You go home and you're cooking up dinner that night, you have a recipe that calls for a pound of goatfish. Is it wiser to catch 4 1/4-pound fish, 2 1/2-pound fish, or a single 1-pound fish? We can evaluate that scenario using curves such as these, which are yield or estimated yield, which is here in green, and estimated reproductive output, which is here in blue. Now, I'm trying to represent 3-dimensional information in 2-dimensional space. I'm going to need to take a little bit of time to explain to you what you're seeing. First of all, we're holding fishing mortality levels at the rates that we're seeing today based on our estimates. Along this axis, we have the lower age limit, the age at which you allow a fish to be caught. Age and size are related, so this is a proxy for size. Upper age limit, the age at which you stop allowing fishing to occur in the population, is along this axis. This axis is scaled in number of grams yielded per year for the green part of the plot, and this axis is reproductive output in hundreds of millions of eggs per reproductive event, scaled to the blue axis. Now, the leading edge of each of these plots represents the earliest age of entry into the fishery, which in this case is 2 years. And these more or less horizontal lines represent older ages for age of entry into the fishery. So we have a line for 3 years, a line for 4, 5, and so on as you go back. These more or less vertical lines represent the upper age limits for the fishery. So 2 years, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on up to the right. Now, if you want to predict the effects of allowing fishing only on individuals between 3 and 6 years old, all you need to do is go across the age of entry for 3 years and see where it intersects the upper age limit of 6 years. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right here, right here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right here, and read off to the right. That's your estimated yield. If you want to find estimated reproductive output, you find the corresponding point on this blue axis. So age of entry of 3 years, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Read off to the right, and you have reproductive output. Now, these plots intersect and they're difficult to read. I'm going to separate them now and expand the blue one for easier viewing. I'm going to, again, investigate or predict the effects of various management strategies using different combinations of age limits, keeping fishery mortality at the levels that we're currently estimating them to be, and also keeping yield the same. Now, how do we keep yield the same? All we need to do is draw a horizontal line across this axis, and each of the points along here represents equivalent yield. I started at this point because this is the current recommended fishing practice for goatfish in Hawaii today. Under this scenario, we would have 20 kilograms of fish produced per year in that 38-hectare study site that Ross and I examined. If we want to find reproductive output, we go to the corresponding point over here. And I'm just going to go along here. Here's another approximately equal yield point. Reproductive output is a little bit higher in that case. A third equivalent yield point, the reproductive output is even higher in this scenario. I'm going to tell you what these points are in just a second. But the main point I want to bring out right now is that there's a 9.8 million egg difference between taking these size classes and taking this size class. That's per reproductive event. Again, fishes spawn multiple times per year. So the differences between these scenarios can be astronomical. What we're suggesting here is that if you're worried about seeding the next generation, it's a lot better to catch fishes between 5 and 8 years old than it is to catch mature fishes. So, based on this, what can we say about these sorts of fishery management practices? I didn't show you all the analyses that we've done here, and there are a lot of other options, such as size, age restrictions, catch limits, seasonal closures, things like that, and those can be evaluated with those sorts of techniques that I just showed you a minute ago. And for right now, it looks like some of these life history-based management techniques may offer us a far better option for trying to enhance fisheries. And the best part of the story, I think, is that we only examined a 38-hectare study area. Now imagine multiplying those results up throughout the whole archipelago. When you incorporate these sorts of life history-based management strategies, you're managing all of your fishes. We're not suggesting that our results in this small area are representative of the whole entire island chain, but as more of this sort of work is done, we should have more generally applicable results. Finally, we only looked at 3 species. We only looked at one comparison site, and we're suggesting that more of this sort of work should be done on fishery species of interest. And we really think there's the potential here to benefit the coral reefs and the people who use them through this sort of life history-based management strategy. Brief synopsis of what we've done so far. Generated this life history information for 3 species, used that to calculate production, used the exact same information to look at other sorts of management strategies, and we've given these sorts of presentations at a series of conferences so far. If you take a third message home with you today, I'd like it to be this, that this sort of work really can be quick and inexpensive. Ross and I have done all this work and more with just 20% of our annual work budget, plus the assistance of 1 part-time undergraduate. So it can be done quickly and inexpensively, and we hope more of it will be done. Things we still need to do, a couple more transects, a little bit more life history work, and work that into our final analysis. Like I said, our results may change, and it will be interesting to see what happens. Once that's done, we're going to submit a couple of manuscripts for publication. We're going to offer a couple of workshops on the techniques that I've described for you today, and we hope to give a couple of presentations talking about the scientific value of these marine reserves, which allowed us to calculate fishery independent estimates of mortality. I want to close with thanks to these people and organizations who made our work possible. And although they aren't listed here, I also want to thank a series of people that talked to us who didn't agree necessarily with the results and our interpretation that we presented here today. We had some spirited conversations, Ross and I, over the past couple of months. And we really appreciate the input that other people gave us, because I think it helped us to fine-tune our message. So thanks very much to all of those people as well. And with that, I can take any of your questions.